Right now on Upfront.
Threats of impeachment.
This is a perilous moment for democracy in Wisconsin.
Democrats promising a multi-million-dollar campaign targeting Republicans.
I can tell you that if she was an honorable person, she would recuse herself.
The intensifying political standoff surrounding Justice Janet Protasiewicz as the new Wisconsin Supreme Court meets publicly for the first time.
We are here on our first day of the 2023-24 court term.
All this as lawmakers return this week to Madison, the governor promising to veto the Republican tax cut plan.
I know they're just going to go ahead, but they'll be facing a veto.
Our guest this Sunday, Assembly Majority Leader Republican Tyler August, Democratic Minority Leader Greta Neubauer.
Then, pulse of the public. New polling on the Brewers funding fight, the proposal to use state taxpayer dollars, and the push for a local buy-in. Dan Adams here to reveal the new poll results exclusively, just minutes away.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Both the State Assembly and Senate back in session this week, returning from summer break.
The Assembly is set to vote Tuesday on the Republicans' nearly $3 billion income tax plan that the governor this past week promised to veto. All this as the prospects of impeaching Justice Janet Protasiewicz intensifies politically. Democrats pledging millions of dollars to pressure Republicans just as the new court held its first hearing Thursday. Justices will hear oral arguments in its first case this week. A lot to get to. Tyler August is Republican Assembly Majority Leader. He joins us now. Representative, like always, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me today.
Let's begin with the tax cuts that is up for a vote on Tuesday. The governor this past week came out and said he's going to veto that. Any changes you're working on between now and Tuesday to try to get him on board?
You know, we're actually really comfortable with the plan we have. As people know, the governor line item vetoed out the tax cuts that we had put in the budget. He signed most of the budget, which was the good news. The bad news is that he vetoed most of the tax cuts. And what he said was he was afraid that it was a tax cut for the rich. Now, that was an easy political talking point. When you look at the numbers, it wasn't actually true. But so we decided to go back to the drawing board and focus this tax cut on that middle class, on the working class folks here in the state of Wisconsin, and then also added in a new idea from Representative David Steffen from up in the Green Bay area, which was to exempt retirement income for our seniors, for anyone 67 or older that has a qualified retirement plan under the IRS code. They would no longer pay state income tax when they started drawing those dollars out, which I think is great for seniors on a fixed income.
Any scenario at this point you would negotiate the competing child care packages, maybe put more money into child care accounts if he could get on board with it?
So we're also going to, this week, we're going to pass our child care package. We've got some great stuff. Representative Hurd and Representative Gobin have been working really hard. This isn't something that we just started working on because the governor all of a sudden came up with his child care counts session. Our members have been working on this for months. We understand that it's an issue for working families. We've got a package of bills that I think you'll see passed by the end of this week, and I'm hopeful that the governor will, at the very least, support those pieces of legislation.
On the income tax proposal, we asked the governor this past week why he announced that veto.
Have you decided already that you're going to veto that?
Yeah, I just can't see saying that we're going to do a tax cut. Then, by the way, we're going to spend $2.5 billion sending that back to the federal government. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I understand people are interested in the tax cut, but when you look at the entire picture, $2.5 billion will leave the state of Wisconsin. I just can't stomach that.
So the governor's concerned over losing federal COVID dollars. Can you guarantee that won't happen, or is that even a real concern?
We aren't too concerned about it, to be honest with you. We believe in this plan. We think that this plan is responsible. The tax cuts are responsible. This is just another smokescreen that the governor's putting up. I know he's got Joe Biden's phone number. He could have a conversation with him about how these tax cuts are really important to the working people of this state, and they could have that conversation. Because he chooses not to is unfortunate, but we're still going to move forward with our plan.
Is the Senate on board with this plan?
I've talked to Senator LeMahieu a little bit. He's still talking to his members about it. There's certainly always been great partners when it comes to providing tax relief for workers and seniors. So I would expect that our friends in the Senate would get on board with this. But I'll let Senator LeMahieu say for sure. where his caucus is at, as he's the one having those direct conversations with his members.
Let's talk with the state Supreme Court. They're going to hear their first case this upcoming week. A lot of talk surrounding the newest justice, Janet Protasiewicz. If she doesn't recuse herself from the MAPS case, will the Assembly begin impeachment proceedings?
So I don't like to deal in hypotheticals. That's a hypothetical situation that I actually don't even think is going to happen. I believe at the end of the day that the justice will do the right thing and recuse herself. I think any reasonable person that looks at the situation and sees the campaign that was run, how it was funded, the things that she said, comes to the natural conclusion that she has prejudged this case. So it's appropriate for her to recuse herself, and I think ultimately at the end of the day that that's what she's going to do.
She's given no indication, though, that she will recuse herself.
Well, sure, justices generally don't talk in the press. We've had a little dust-ups recently among some of the justices doing that, but they generally don't indicate what they're going to do on any particular case, which kind of proves our point that she did during the campaign indicate where she would be on a case dealing with redistricting.
Do you have the votes in the Assembly if it gets to that?
We haven't even had those conversations yet. I mean, and I think it's because both myself and the Speaker and the members of our caucus, we really believe that she's going to recuse herself because it's the reasonable and right thing to do.
Broaden this out for me for a second. If you look at other justices, for example, conservatives, like Justice Hagedorn, for example, he's taken money from the Republican Party, previously called Planned Parenthood wicked. Before he was on the court, said he has committed himself to stopping abortion. I mean, so should he recuse himself on the abortion case?
Well, I think that this case is extremely different because of the way that it was politicized during the campaign. An individual saying what their own personal feelings are on an issue as personal as abortion, I view to be completely different than saying the maps are rigged, which is what the justice said, and indicating to her supporters and, frankly, the donors to the campaign that this is one of the centerpieces of her campaign and why she was running for the Supreme Court in the first place.
We've known her views on issues like the maps and abortion since the campaign trail. Voters have as well known what they were getting with Judge Protasiewicz, and she still won by 11 points. Democrats say that this effort to impeach is some type of way to overturn the will of the voters. How do you respond to that?
Well, I would first say that the case itself, sitting in court right now, is trying to overturn the will of the voters in the state Senate. We have senators from both parties that are named in that suit that were just re-elected or elected for the first time to 4-year terms last November. This case seeks to vacate those elections and force new elections. So it's not us that's trying to undo the will of the voters. That case itself is trying to do that.
I want to ask about Brewers and the funding negotiations that's going on there in Madison. Where do all of those negotiations currently stand?
Sure, there's been a lot of talk for months and months. I know that the owner just came out and said that he thinks that a deal is very close. I think that's an accurate representation. I think sometime in the next week or so, week to 10 days, you'll see a proposal come out from the Speaker's office representing where our caucus is at. I think ultimately at the end of the day, between our partners, the mayor and the county executive, were phenomenal to work with during the whole shared revenue negotiation. Obviously, we're in different political parties. We have very different views on politics and policy, but County Executive Crowley and Mayor Johnson were awesome to work with. And I think that they'll come to the table here and be just as helpful to get a deal across the table so we can keep the Brewers here in the state of Wisconsin for a long, long time.
I'm assuming that's going to require a local buy-in option when you just referenced the county and city?
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's the same situation when we had the Bucks negotiations a few years ago where the city and the county came to the table and said, we understand that this is a major benefit to the city and to the county. And so I think that having a local option and some state support, all three of those are an important part of the stool to put together a deal. So I would expect that would be a part of the deal.
Is this an assembly bill, or who's negotiating this right now?
There's a lot of people talking about it, to be honest with you. I think that the Speaker will come out with what we believe is a good plan for us. And then, the negotiations will continue once we actually have a bill to negotiate on. But there's been members of both parties in a lot of meetings from both houses talking about this, and I think there's a genuine interest on both sides of the Capitol, meaning the Assembly and the Senate, and both political parties to get something done.
And where's the governor on this?
We haven't spoken to the governor yet. We're trying to make sure that we've gotten some buy-in from both political parties and, again, our local partners here in the city and the county. We know where the governor is at. His proposal that he put in his original budget of a lot of upfront cash was just not something that we were interested in doing. I think that this deal will be built more around kind of the revenues off of player salaries, the tax revenues off of those, and maybe some sales tax revenue that comes out of the sales when we all go to a game and buy a popcorn or a Miller Lite and enjoy ourselves. So we're trying to put this thing together. It's obviously a massive deal. We're trying to keep the Brewers here through 2040 and beyond. And ultimately, like I said, I think we'll get it done.
Say, Representative Tyler Argus, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Up next, the Democratic response. Assembly Minority Leader Greta Neubauer standing by, and what's next for the party and Democrats' role this fall.
And the new poll results you'll see first right here, the exclusive release on Brewers funding just moments away.